Welcome to episode 1 of the Mike on a Bike podcast.
Well, thanks for the invitation, Steve.
My
pleasure.
My guest this week, for week 1, is a bloke I've known for, Marty? 8 or 9 years. And today we're riding mountain bikes and we're headed for Wirakata National Park, which is our local national park here in the Hunter, and it's split into 3 pieces. We're going to ride probably the most well-known piece of it, which will be known to locals and tourists alike.
A beautiful area, Steve, isn't it?
Beautiful.
Formerly a forestry area, so a lot of the vegetation regrow's still in its infancy. It's probably only 40 years old maybe, and you can see it coming back from being logged to being a bit of a wildlife and recreational haven now.
But maybe we'll ride past the miner's hut.
A forestry hut, as a matter of fact. Forestry hut. Yeah, forestry hut.
Yeah, still there, up on stilts.
Yeah. And it's at the end of the last remnant of local Great North Road. Not the Great North Walk, the Great North Road that came from Windsor was meant to come through to Maitland and Morpeth as a trade route. Built by the convicts down at Windsor and all that area, Washington's Ferry. And by the time they got up here, the steamships had arrived at Morpeth, so the trade route became by sea. The road wasn't defunct, but it certainly wasn't used as much as it was meant to. It became
obsolete, you think?
Yeah, so the last original route of it in the local areas, we'll ride that later this morning.
Right. Well, here we are at the forestry hut, and I put up a picture of it. And Marty was just sharing with me a story about one of the blokes that, one of the founders of the original mongrels, motorcycle curry mongrels. We won't mention his name, but we'll call him the captain.
So the audio cuts out here, but let me show you the story.
Spread the paper out.
So the captain was the boss of the timber felling crew, and they worked out of this hut that you can see now. The captain would lay out the Newcastle Herald on the table, and if there was 3 spots of rain on the newspaper, then they'd close it up and go inside the hut for the day because they didn't work in the rain.
And if you look at the girth on the trees, there's nothing major out there. They're all regrowth. There's nothing much bigger than a man's waist. Very few trees through here bigger than what we're looking at now. They're all regrowth from formerly being deforested. From here to
so we've only got 30 years maybe of growth here.
Absolutely, yeah. Phil will confirm that, but I wouldn't think there's any more than that in there. There's no trees with significant hollows through here. They're just regrowth.
The ecosystem, if I've got this right, that
the
wildlife live in the hollows, for example.
And they're more productive in terms of pollination and spreading of seed and all that. The old mother trees are better pollinators than the younger ones. The younger ones take a long time.
Increases their chances of survival.
Yeah.
Place to hide when the...
Yeah, and their grip on the earth. There's a lot more subterranean stuff happening under an old tree than these young ones, but they'll come back. They're coming back. They're healthy now. And notice the bat colony at East Cessnox, it's thriving at the moment. It's because these trees are full of flower. They're coming out here at night.
Is that right?
Yeah, they're the pollinators out here.
They come out here? It's not that far. It's only a couple of k's probably.
Those bats will go all the way to Cooranbong, Mulberry, all over the Watergate.
Is that right?
Well, it's only roost around here, and wherever the flowers are, they'll be out at night. If you go down there in the afternoon and watch them, the direction they're headed, that's where the trees are flowering.
Do you know, I've been here for nearly 10 years, and I've never seen those bats move around. I know where they are, of course.
Yeah, we'll go
down there near the public school.
Go just after dark or just on dark, you'll see them disappear. They might go to Maitland because there's something fruiting in there, but mainly they're in this forest now because the forest is regenerating, and they'll go to where the flowers are. The ironbarks aren't flowering at the moment, but the yellow bloodwoods are, and some of the angophores further out, and that's where they'll be.
Yeah, okay. And they eat the flowers?
They take in the nectar. Right. They're nectar drinkers, and they'll eat fruit too, of course, on orchards, but mainly they're nectar eaters, and they get the pollen on their face, go to the next flower, and distribute the pollen, just like a bee.
Yep.
Or a bird. Yeah. I know they're difficult. I wouldn't like them in my backyard, and people hate them, but without them, we wouldn't have much agriculture. not much forest.
And shortly after this, unfortunately, my audio recording hardware gave up entirely. So we went back to Marty's and we sat, and his lovely wife Denise made us a cup of tea, and I got a plate of biscuits.
I was asked to go out for lunch with Tara Moss once, and I did, down at Newcastle at a restaurant. And the next week she was on the Gong ride, and she was an ambassador for that. And I took a couple of young blokes riding with me, and we're riding on the Gong ride in amongst the 10,000 people. And I rode up towards Tara Moss and said, "G'day, Tara, how you going?" "Oh, Martin, it's you." And the young blokes were pretty impressed.
What I'm interested in is what people think will happen when Australia becomes isolated, functional, but isolated from the rest of the world.
I don't think people think about it.
I'm interested in what people think the impact of that sort of isolation will be on their field of interest. Because not everything is about bicycles, right? And I have to keep reminding myself that.
We had to talk bikes today.
Because Australia, for example, and the reason this thing, where it all started was, I was talking to one of my friends who lives in Bathurst, and I said, how long will it take Australia to produce an electric car if we have to? Right? We don't have a domestic automotive industry anymore. We've still got the pieces of technology. There will be Australian companies who have battery technology. There will be companies who have motor technology. There will be coach builders. There'll be companies who could build a wiring harness. There are companies who can build wheels and make tyres and those kinds of things. It kind of came from, how long will it take Australia to build, if we have to, if we are isolated from the rest of the world, how long before we can produce an electric car for domestic consumption? And then I start thinking, hang on a second, if we're isolated, why is it electric? Because this is what will happen, right? Is if the rest of the world's dead...
Most of the carbon emissions are gone.
Right, exactly. There you are, you thought of it. There's no climate change problem anymore. The world...
Dig the fuel up.
We can keep on digging up the ground and turning it into petrol. Now, we don't have... There are 2 oil refineries in Australia, but neither of those 2 oil refineries process crude oil that we produce here. Our crude oil, 85% of it is shipped overseas to be processed, and we buy most of the crude oil that we that's either refined or that we refine here. One in Brisbane, one in Melbourne. So if we're isolated, what effect does that have on the healthcare industry, right? CSIRO makes vaccines, but do we domestically manufacture vaccines? But we've still got to deal with all the other things that we have immunisation for. So
which mostly come in from overseas, which is not going to happen anymore.
Right.
So measles isn't going to come back in.
We don't have to worry about those things. Well,
but
that's...
with Barmer virus and Epstein-Barr and all those other things come from mosquitoes, we might have to.
Do we have the technology here to make those things?
We have the technology. We've certainly got the technology to do it.
Do we know what the recipe is?
Have we got the productive capacity to do it, or the laboratories to produce it on a production scale? But we can certainly do all of the vaccines that are produced in the world, I believe, because we have the information and the technology now.
Right. We've got the
collaborative stuff with the Israelis and the Spanish and all that. We're doing all that now. We know the emerging stuff, and we know how to create a vaccine for most things. We just choose not to do it on scale because it's done in Spain or China.
Right. It's much cheaper to buy it from overseas, but we could make it here. So okay, that piece of the puzzle, good. Immunology, we will probably survive, no problems. Medicines generally, so pharmaceuticals. Is there a pharmaceutical industry in Australia that's capable of producing Australia's pharmaceuticals that do all of the things?
We're technically capable of all that, but productively incapable. Surprised if we weren't in a collaborative network with all of those things, either leading it or following it.
So what about the impact of corporate protection of IP? I'm not talking to an optimist. Well, that's all right. Because at some point I'll talk to a pessimist, and maybe we'll get different answers. The nurse that I'm going to talk to, who is also she's a midwife.
All right.
So it's going to be interesting because what I want to talk to her about is babies. We know how to make them.
We're behind on the replacement rate. We are below replacement.
I think the whole world is behind on the replacement rate, isn't it?
Africa and South America, but Australia is. And it's to do with our epigenetics and our acquired infertility through later birth. Epigenetics is the theory of passing on a trait based on your life experience as well as your environmental exposure. So they first found with the Holocaust sufferers that they were obviously depressed, but 2 generations later were equally depressed because they pick up this epigenetic trait for depression.
So it's a combination of nature and nurture.
It is. And with replacement rate and fertility, if people have children later when they're less fertile, male and female are both less fertile, so they're less able to conceive, so they have more interventions to have a baby. And because that intervention is in a less fertile state, the next generation is less fertile. So it's not just that we're choosing not to have 3 babies, it's that we're choosing to have 1.5 means that the next generation might only be able to have 1.25. And it's not because we can't go back to having them at 18 because our genetic material's been altered through epigenetics to be less fertile anyway. So the fertility rate isn't just a matter of choosing to go back, it's that it's almost too late to go back.
Right.
That could be true or not true.
But you would have to say that if we had to choose between whether we're becoming more fertile and having more children or having less, that certainly the future of the planet wants us to have less, right?
They did.
Because we're at about 7.5 billion?
Not anymore. The
What's critical mass for population?
The curve's not just dipping, the curve's going down. And as a field of science, it says that's the biggest threat we've got is population decline.
Is that right?
Only what I've read.
So tell me what you think the isolationist impact is going to be on the careers of people, because we're going to have a lot of people that we don't need them to do the jobs that they were trained for or that they want to do. Well, thankfully we're always going to need bike shop owners, right? So tech, that's good. But we're not going to need satellite
farmers because you're not selling as many cows.
Well, we are going to need farmers, right? Because we're not going to be able to buy as much produce as we have. So we're going to have to grow it, right?
We're a net exporter, but. So,
are we?
Yeah, we're a net exporter.
A net exporter?
Yeah.
But
across all products, we're a net exporter.
Yeah, okay.
Agricultural products, we're a net exporter.
Right, so we grow a lot of wheat.
Yeah.
And
protein. Cattle. Sheep.
Okay, so news is good there.
They'll get fertiliser to grow them, and it's coming mostly from the Ukraine and the Middle East.
Why do we get it from the Ukraine and the Middle East?
Because we just haven't got it. It's a petrochemical output, urea, and that's coming from there.
So we import fertiliser?
Absolutely, yeah. That's why carrots are going to go up at the moment, because urea went from $1,000 a tonne last week to $1,500 a tonne.
Is that because of the rise in petrol prices? That AdBlue goes up?
Well, if fuel goes up, most crops would use urea or sulphate of ammonia.
Right. So how do we make it?
How do we make it?
Well, how do the Ukrainians make it?
They make it from oil.
They make it from oil.
Yeah.
Well, we've got oil reserves.
But no refineries.
But we've got 2 refineries, but my research suggested that in 10 years, both of those refineries will be shut down and we will import 100% of our own oil.
If the current situation wasn't there, or?
On current trends, in 10 years' time, it's gone. We go from 85% to 100% imported.
Yeah.
Now, if we're talking about an isolationist, and I don't know what my end goal is for this isolationist concept, but the reason I'm interested in exploring it is because it keeps on being the thing that right-wing governments talk about, right? And it's a big part of Trumpism. America first. And it's not just the Americans that talk about it. It's every right-wing politician takes these national...
Let's get rid of that foreign aid because we
right, let's not spend the money on those countries. Let's stop buying their oil. We should do it ourselves. Well, this hypothetical is exploring the idea of doing it ourselves. But if we're going to do it, what happens if we properly do it, right? Which is, we're just going to shut the borders. There's no planes going in or out. There's no boats coming in or out.
Yeah, we have famines, do we? have famine because we won't be able to produce the food through our current technologies and our current agricultural systems without imports. And we won't be able to live the lifestyle we've got without exports. And all of our foreign aid now is mostly soft diplomacy anyway. We're giving $60 million to Papua New Guinea to put a footy side in. That's got nothing to do with the footy side. That's to do with buying favour in PNG.
Yeah, which is what nations have always done forever. It's not new. We have to export to earn the money.
So yeah, for wealth. Yeah, we're a net exporter.
Because none of the rhetoric you ever hear says that we sell more than we buy.
Oh, that's right. All these people who say, let's stop sending it over to there, we'll keep it ourselves. Yeah, okay. And they'll say, if they're keeping that, we're going to stop buying iron ore off them, we're going to stop buying wood off them. Because Newcastle Harbour is the biggest export harbour in the world. Coal and wood.
Is that right?
Yeah. There's just churning stuff out.
When you said that famine we won't be able to afford to feed ourselves, if we're not exporting it, then can we not consume that domestically?
No, well, if we can produce it. Yeah. We're exporting cattle at $2,000 a head now, but if we and we can't afford to do that, that's going to the Middle East or Indonesia or somewhere.
But all prices are artificial, right?
Yeah.
It's just a head of cattle.
Yeah.
Whatever the market's going to pay for it is an artificial.
So Gina Reinhardt, who's currently got 2 million head of cattle at that value, says they're only worth $100 now. I'm not in this anymore.
Well, the government has already decided that. The single country party that we already talked about, run by the enigmatic but slightly unhinged leader, has already decreed that, okay, you're still going to produce cattle, but it's going to be used to feed Australians. It's not going to be used to feed wealthy Arab
So was his name
sheiks.
This bloke? Was it Joseph Stalin or was it... What was his name?
You can pluck a name out of the air. We're in a political situation now where there's a very real chance that crazy right-wing political party, which we won't mention, stands a good chance of...
You think so? I don't think so.
Mate, the rules got changed in 2016.
Yeah.
Because Donald Trump was elected president of the United States.
I didn't believe that either. Could never happen.
And that's what I said. It's never going to happen. And if I'd have had to bet my house on it, I would have said it's never. And it's not just happened once, it's happened twice. And it's not just the US that has elected crazy, right-wing, isolationist nutbags. We've got one of our own.
Yeah.
And our homegrown nutbag is gaining traction, not losing it.
We'll probably find that out tonight.
What's happening tonight?
South Australian elections on today.
Yeah.
So you'll find out what a real chances are.
The likelihood of them becoming more powerful, and hopefully not powerful enough, but the likelihood of them becoming more powerful increases as the viable opposition to the government that we currently have. And, you know, this nation's built on swapping governments, right? Change is part of the process. And they're not that much different between, you know, red and blue. But orange is different. And as long as the blue continues shooting itself in the foot and eating its own babies,
so
orange...
This is where my life and yours are different. I just look out the window and there's a bird flew past there.
I wonder what kind of bird was that?
What happened to it?
Yeah. Well, I got too much time on my hands, Marty, which is the problem, right? Because I don't have to mow lawns or I don't get a chance to look at...
That bog you down, that stuff, because it's never been any different. It hasn't.
It's just me and the dog, and her grasp of English is... She's not good at carrying on a conversation.
So, but who's in charge?
Well, yeah, she's a good listener and I'm in charge. There's the truth.
Yeah. So I don't know, I don't see the Holocaust coming. I don't see
Famine is the problem, right? Because famine is what brings a loss of social cohesion, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because when people haven't got enough food to eat, then they'll start murdering each other, right? And I keep on saying we are constantly discovering what are the things that people will do when they know they can get away with it.
Oh, yes.
Right? What we know that kids will do when they know they can get away with it is that 30 of them will tear up a golf course on their electric motorbikes, right? Because they know they can get away with it for now. Famine is and one of the people I want to talk to is a copper, and I don't know if it will be possible to talk to him and give him this, you know, the dog flu scenario and say, tell me what happens to policing in this. Is the...
Well, we went through it a bit with COVID, didn't we? Like the borders and all that stuff.
People went to their homes and they pretty much stayed there.
Well,
there were some crazy voices that...
The majority
did, right?
And I think that was a little bit of to do with leadership. That was whoever it was. And I thought, as much as I disliked the bloke, and Morrison done a good job. He stood up every day and chanted whatever he was told by the World Health Organisation, by the CSIRO, or whoever it was that was looking after the real pandemic. I thought he'd done a good job of presenting and doing. I thought the bloke in Victoria did.
Yeah, Daniel Andrews.
Anthony, yeah.
I think our navigation of the COVID era was excellent.
Oh, we got a good result.
We got it.
And if you look at what happened in other countries,
I don't know that ever happen again though.
Well, I don't think I've had any trouble behaving the same way I did. There's a lot of people saying they're not having the flu vax because of what happened with COVID. Yeah? There's nothing background to that.
So people actively not revaccinating, not just a passive, like me, I'm just too lazy to go and do it.
No.
If they walked in the door of the shop and they said, listen, do you want a COVID vaccine now? We'll give it to you. Yeah. I'd say, yeah, no worries. Here you go.
Same here. And we'll make our appointment in April, I think, is our month. But we've got friends and it's their choice. I was a bit disappointed in people who got pilloried for their views and expressing their views just because it was their view. By people who had another view.
Once you start proselytising about anything, all the bets are off, right? Yeah. If you try and tell me that Jesus is Lord, then okay, that's it. We're allowed to talk about this now.
We've got a book about that.
We'll stay quiet on the subject until you try.
That's a better position to take because it does don't need to beat in your life sometimes, do you? It's just, I don't know, Josh.
I can probably only think of a couple of people now who I remember were hard anti-vaxxers.
We know people who lost their jobs.
Yeah.
And one person was a paramedic, and you would think in the health industry that he would have been pro-vaccination.
And he's a beautiful bloke.
He was absolutely anti, and he gave up his...
One of the best paramedics in the Hunter.
Excellent job.
Excellent practitioner, great bloke, kind. Just said, I don't want to do it.
Change his tyres.
Yeah. And he won't go back on principle. But there was only a few.
It's astounding, isn't it?
Job in the education department for the same reason.
To go that far, you know,
But they were right in their own minds.
They're right in their own minds. But I also, the human nature thing says there must be other stuff about their life that they didn't like.
I can't see it.
And this was just a catalyst.
I can't see it. Can you on these people?
Do you think that the position is built way more on principle than it is on knowledge or understanding?
It's got to be. I think it's got to be.
And, we do this funny thing where, and climate change is a great example of this, where 98% of the scientists say that climate change is about to ruin everything, and the 2%, we have to give them equal airtime, right?
I think if someone's saying something simple, like, no, that's not true, you want to hang on to that because the other side is too complex.
So do you approach this on the basis of these scientists know way more than I do? Here you go, fella, here's my arm.
Well, Denise and I have got a thing with some people that keep sprouting their research, which means they've Googled it. And they make decisions about their health. But Denise gets the shits with me a bit about it. If I see something like the replacement rate's down, what's that mean? Find out, not enough babies being born. Why is that? Linked to epigenetics, what's that? So my research is to kind of read something meaningful and by someone who's got some credentials. I think that's it.
Do you trust the scientists and their credentials?
Genuine scientists would never say they're right. They'd say
this is what I find.
What we're seeing today is that A plus B equals C.
Yeah.
But 2 years ago it was a different equation. And this is what we're going to test this theory. I believe them, and they would turn. I think if they found they were wrong, they'd turn around and say, "Gee, we got that wrong. Something was wrong there." So, not blind trust in science. Interested in it. But where do you get it from? I've read some scientific journals, but only stuff I'm interested in.
Right, and here's the problem. Right, the opposition of the argument will say, just go to the internet, you'll find it. The truth is there. And I think, hang on, I don't have the knowledge or the education or the experience or the wisdom to know whether what I'm looking at is true or false. So I'm going to leave this to the people that win Nobel Prizes. I'm going to leave it to them to be an expert in their field. You bring me your bike and I'll fix it. But if you tell me how to fix your bike, take it somewhere else.
We've got friends who have been through this big scare on hormone replacement. Don't take it because it's going to do all these things to you.
Cause breast cancer.
Cause breast cancer. Women all around the world.
There's a generation of women my age who have severe osteoporosis because they had no estrogen for 30 years because they didn't take any hormone replacement because some quack TV show said it'll have an adverse reaction, and it's been proven that it's not true.
And there was seed in their brain then, and they kept believing it despite their doctor saying it's not true. Or a lot of doctors signed up for it too.
A lot of doctors said, I give it to you.
So we were when I cut my hand there last year, we were sitting in the hand clinic at John Hull waiting for a review, and
it was the fracture clinic, it was with the hand clinic. I said, Martin, just stop and look around the waiting room, the demographic in this waiting room. It was women my age, women in their 60s with broken arms.
It was when Denise pointed out, it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
They'll fall down the steps or off a bike or tripping over in the bathroom, and they all come in a sling or.
Well, maybe we
because
should wow, that's poor.
Because of some pseudoscience. So I think we're all in this together. Actually, Taka said to me yesterday at that funeral, I was just thinking about this funeral. He said, I wonder what yours is going to be like. It'll be very interesting. I said, I hope you're not there. He said, what do you mean? So I hope you're dead before me. I hope you're gone.
I want to go to yours before you go to mine.
It's a funny thing to say, isn't it?
Mm. But I agree with him. I think your funeral would be pretty interesting. Probably 15 years ago, I finally figured out that the thing that I should have done is become an anthropologist.
Oh, yeah.
Because people are the most interesting thing on the planet. Their ability for good and evil is such a massive spectrum. It would have been the subject that would have interested me for a career. Fixing bicycles, maybe there's still some anthropology in that.
Yeah.
Who knows? Yeah. Right, time for me and the dog to go.
I don't know what to say about all that, but I did enjoy riding around the bush talking. And that's the best part of cycling.
Isn't it?
Yeah. And I, when we get away on a long ride and you see someone suffering, I'll go up to them and say, look, I'm just going to talk shit, and if you want me to go away, I will. Thanks, mate.
Thank you. Well, it's been a lovely conversation. Thanks very much.
This week's podcast episode was made on the lands of the Wonnarua people. We acknowledge them as the traditional custodians of this land and pay our respects to their elders past, present and future. I would list the authors, producers, sound recorders, editors and directors of what just happened, but we all know it was me and that I was assisted by the dog. In the next episode, we travel to Bathurst to ride with a crazy bloke who says he knows that he's not crazy because his mother had him tested. Tune in for that episode after Easter. Stay safe and keep riding.